guys, so I'm coming to you today. I didn't think I was going to be able to make a video, but we had a very busy afternoon scheduled with baseball games and picking my husband up from work because his car is not working right now. But anyways, God had other plans and we had massive downpours, and it was kind of nice because all of our games got canceled, which I do hate, but now it's kind of given us this time to be inside and be a little bit more cozy and just relax. But because of that, I was like, oh, I will make this video because my mom keeps asking me how to save her tomato seeds. She has a tomato plant she got this year, and I went and visited her in Indiana, and I've never seen a tomato like this before. It was a cherry tomato, and on each little like sprawl of flowers, I swear it was like a fireworks show of flowers, and then it was like 20 cherry tomatoes on each little branch. So she was wanting to save the seeds for it. Now, saving tomato seeds is just a little bit different than saving some other seeds, because tomato seeds, if you've had a tomato before, which you're here, so I hope you have, tomato seeds have that gelatinous substance membrane around them. And so you really have to break that down before you can actually just plant the seeds and save them and store them. And the way to do that is by fermenting them. So, Eric, are you getting more cheese balls? Okay, that's just a little bit. We'll see how many he gets. Anyways, so I wanted to do this little video just to kind of show you how I save tomato seeds and how you can too. Let's start off with the tomato. You want to pick a tomato that is a really healthy tomato, or at least was a healthy tomato. And I want to say that because the tomato I'm using to show you today, I feel like this is like tomato blasphemy or something. But I'll show you a picture over here of what this tomato looked like when I picked it, and it was gorgeous. It's a mushroom basket tomato from Baker Creek, and I just had it, and I don't know if you guys ever do this, but I forget about all the tomatoes I have because I'm so busy just eating the cherry tomatoes out when I'm picking the garden that sometimes these big guys get forgotten about, and unfortunately I'm so sad that I've done this to this tomato. So like, it is moldy, it's juicing, it is already basically fermenting inside, which is a great jump starter for the process. So I'm gonna take this tomato, and the first thing you wanna do is you're gonna scoop out the seeds, as many seeds as you can without as much tomato, and you're gonna put those into a jar. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take this disgusting but once beautiful tomato and cut it open and see what I'm dealing with. Ugh. Yeah, that smells real fermented. But you can kind of see this one is a pretty thick tomato. So I'm just kind of going through and scooping out the seeds. Now you just need one seed to grow an entire tomato plant. So if I can get a couple of these seeds, that would be great. I'm just on the search for these seeds. Depending on what kind of tomato you want to save is going to depend on how many seeds it has. Like, here's a clump. This mushroom basket was pretty meaty, so there wasn't as many seeds, which is unfortunate because this probably would have tasted really good on a BLT. But that's okay. I have a brother or sister of this tomato plant still, and I think I will have that one today for lunch. So that's kind of, I mean, maybe if I, it's squirting at me. Yeah. I mean, there's another little seed. I mean, there's probably a good amount of seeds in here, if you can kind of see that. I mean, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At least 10. So that's a pretty big size already. So the next step is I'm actually going to put these in a jar. I just kind of wanted to show you on a bigger scale what they look like. So I've got my jar. I'm just gonna scoop whatever I got in here. Anything else? I think that's good. And then all you want to do with this is we're going to jumpstart the fermentation process, and we're going to put water into it. You don't need a lot, like that's plenty. See, just enough to cover the tomato seeds. And I like to swirl it around. And what this is going to do is this is basically going to start to mold. So it's already kind of started that process. But what you're going to do is leave this on your counter now. What do I have on me? A bug. Well, we're in Missouri, so that's just what you get when you have all these, vegetables. Okay, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it on your counter. You're gonna put a paper towel over it like that. You don't have to get a rubber band, you can just leave it. And that's that. And then in about 4 days or 5 or 2 weeks, if you're like me and you often forget about all your little projects, you can come back and then you'll see mold on top, and then it will be time for step 2. Which, lucky for you, I did start this process about 2 weeks ago. And I have step 2 ready. Look at that. Look how disgusting that looks. Now, for this one, I used, oh my gosh. This is just my life sometimes. I didn't realize how much water was in there. For this one, I had a bunch of cherries that were going bad. They had cracked because they were overwatered. And so all I did was I just threw a whole bunch of cherries in here, mashed them down, put water on them, and let them. And this has been sitting for about 2 weeks. So it's hard to see, but I can see seeds all over the bottom. And I know that the fermentation process is done. The seeds have all sank to the bottom. And this is ready to be strained and about ready to be stored. So feel free to strain however you strain things, but you're gonna want something that's a really small and thin holes. So I'm basically just using this netting. It's something I use for my microgreens, but you can also use, they have, I can't even describe what they're called, but the strainers that you use almost like for powdered sugar or something. They sell them at the dollar store. I used to have one, and I used it for diatomaceous earth, and I don't know where it is. But anyway, so you have this, and all we're gonna do is pour it in here. And look at all those seeds. That's like a lifetime worth of tomato seeds. So the next step here is I'm just gonna go ahead and pick out some of these like big pieces. If they have a few seeds on them, that's fine, because I have plenty of seeds here to work with. And yeah, these are one of my favorite. Oh, this is like mush. This was one of my favorite tomatoes. These are called Sunrise Bumblebee, and they're also from Baker Creek, whatever. And these are probably one of my favorite. Any of the bumblebee varieties. They have a purple bumblebee, which is amazing. This is the Sunrise Bumblebee. And I'm just gonna have to grow all the bumblebees next year. So I'll put them in my show notes where you can find the links to these different seeds. But that's pretty good. Then we're just gonna add more water, and we're just gonna continue to dilute them down until it's just the seeds left over. So if you have a strainer, it's a little bit better sometimes because you can kind of push this mush through. Like the seeds won't go through, but the mush will. But that's okay. You can already see exactly how many seeds we have here. So I'll probably turn on my faucet, and sometimes this works, but just continue to kind of rinse these around. All right, and they're starting to look really good. All right, so we got the rest of them strained, and now it looks pretty good. It's just kind of a clump of seeds. Most of the flesh is gone. And we can just dump them out, and we won't We probably won't get all of them, but majority is the key here. I just kind of fling these out here. They're all stuck on because they're wet. That's fine though, that's fine. And then you can kind of spread them out because now it's just the drying process. So we want all these little seeds to be completely dry before we put them in storage. So I spread them out so they're not clumped. And then I got lots of little seeds everywhere escaping. And in my brain, I'm thinking each one of those is a tomato plant with another infinite amount of tomatoes. And think of how many people I could feed or how many people might want to grab a tomato plant. So I try to save them all. Okay, that's good enough. So last step is I'm gonna put this on top. And then generally what I do is I just kind of roll it up. I kind of roll it up so that none of the seeds do come out and that. And then I will find a way to label it. So I can put this in a Ziploc bag and sometimes that is what I do. So I kind of show you what I did with my seeds from last year. I'll scoot that out of the way. And see, same process, but this is from last year. And this is, I saved my seeds from the blue cream. The blue cream berry tomato is another one of my favorites. It was my first time growing it last year and it's so good. And look at the seeds. You kind of, some of them will clump together, so it's fine. Like you can just kind of break them apart with your fingers. It's not gonna hurt them if like you end up wanting to plant seeds for the year and then you have like a clump of 2 seeds that are stuck together and then you just have to plant those. So it's fine. Worst case, you get 2 plants, you separate them because their root structure is pretty easy to manipulate when they're young. And now you have 2 plants. So these can now just be stored in a Ziploc bag without the paper towel, labeled. And then I usually keep them in my photo container that I will also have to link in my show notes or something because it's been a life changer for how I store seeds. So there you go. I mean, this is probably hundreds of seeds right here. Probably hundreds of seeds. Okay, Mom, so now do you know how to save your seeds? Now, can you save all tomato seeds? Most of the time, yes, this process works for everything. However, tomatoes are self-pollinators. So if you've ever seen their little flowers out there, all they have to do is the wind has to kind of make them wiggle a little bit and they self-pollinate themselves. That's why if you've ever heard the term tickle your tomatoes, because you could actually go out there and every time I see flowers, I might just like tickle them just to make sure that they all get pollinated. However, sometimes you do have like an excited bee or some other bug that might pollinate one tomato from a variety and go pollinate another tomato from a variety. So in this case, you could get a cross-pollinated tomato and then you wouldn't be saving the seeds of the tomato that you're actually trying to save. So be meticulous, I guess, about picking the right tomato that you want to save seeds from. Sometimes what people will do is as soon as a flower blooms, they'll take one of those little sachets that you can tie. You've probably seen them as like wedding favors. And I'll see if I can put something over here to show what they look like. But you can put that over the flower and that way it pollinates itself and then it's giving you like the actual true seeds from that tomato variety. So that's just one option. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this quick little tip fest on how to save your own tomato seeds. Join me next time when I can show you how to save the tomato seeds in this little spoon tomato. I'm just kidding. It's the same way. But let's see, does this guy, it's gotta have a seed in it, right? Whoa, look at all those seeds. That is like all seeds. Are these guys not just the cutest tomatoes? Look at them, they're my favorite. Okay, bye, see you guys.